Welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. I'm your host, Dean Harris, and as always, I'm with Douglas Skipworth. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, doing great.
We're bringing you this podcast to give you the boots on the ground experience and knowledge to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis. Please like and subscribe to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you catch us or listen to your podcast. Show sponsors are listed on your screen. I say it every show, and I'll say it again. We can't do this podcast, and we couldn't run our own personal rental businesses without these show sponsors that help us do that. So we're happy to have them with us. Zoom call, guys, if you have any interest in a Zoom call that I would do, I think I'm going to crank those back up in February. I'm getting a little feedback on it. Shoot me an email, dean@CrestCore.com. I help buyers and sellers every day in our Memphis market. So if you've got a house to sell, if you've got you want to get on our buyers list, shoot me an email, dean@CrestCore.com, and I'll be happy to help you. Man, we just did a 3-week series on top 5 questions and top 5 must-dos and top 5 don'ts and all this other stuff. It's been a great little run of those. And last week specifically, we did the top 5 things real estate investors must do. I really enjoyed that podcast. I thought, especially kind of at the end of it, it was, what's the ideal client look like?
What is successful investors are doing? These
5 things that we talked about last week. So today we're going to dive in. We mentioned number 1 last week was build your team. And we talked about we're going to do this podcast this week on building your team. So today, to discuss, one of my first notes was why is this important? And I don't believe that you can run, we do a lot of sports analogies on here. I don't believe you can win championships without good team members. I don't believe anybody in a team sport has ever said, hey, I did this by myself. It just doesn't happen in team sports, right? I'm the only one here. I contributed to this. There's been great guys on great teams, but none of them, in my opinion, there's been one person just totally lead a basketball team or a baseball, whatever, to any kind of championship. I believe if you want to win in team sports, and believe it or not, investing in real estate is a team sport. I don't care if you're doing it in your own town or you're doing it out of town or out of state. It's a team sport. And building your team, to me, is the most important thing that you can do. You need partners on your side when you're investing out of state. You need contracting partners. You need agents. You need people that you can trust. So building your team is one of the things. It's a very important podcast. I'm glad we're doing it and bringing it, to our clients. But partners and developing relationships with all of the vendors that you're going to work with, to me, is huge.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we mentioned it before, but it's like if you want to be successful, for the majority of the people, they need a team.
Yeah.
They need to leverage other people's time, talent, their skills and abilities. So we talked about it before. When you leverage money, you're leveraging a dollar that you have to make it $5, $10, more dollars. And when you're leveraging people, you're taking some resource you have and multiplying that.
Yep.
And that's what a team does.
Yes.
So you can't win 1 on 5. I mean, it's like hockey or soccer when somebody gets pulled off the field.
Yeah,
you're playing with a man down. Like you're not going to win with a man down.
No, you're not.
And so you're going to win with the full team playing together. So I think this is good. We've talked before about some resources like Millionaire Real Estate Investor and their reference to building your network. And they call it the 3 circles, of how you're going to go about building your team. And they want you to build it, maintain it, and engage it. Yep. And so we've talked about that, how important it is. And that's what we're here to do. It's like, how do you build your team? Yep. How do you maintain that team? And then how do you engage that team?
Yeah.
So it's important.
When you build these relationships, you would think automatically that honesty and open line of communication just comes naturally. And I think for some people it does. You're going to find somebody that are all the time honest with you. In my experience, honesty on a big scale has come with relationships. It is the people that I have built relationships with here in town that I work with never lie to me. Never. Have I ever been told something by someone that I didn't have a great relationship with when we were doing something? Yeah. Whether it be a contractor on a certain house or no matter what it was. And I'm not saying that, every person that you don't have a relationship is dishonest. That's not what I mean. But what I am trying to tell you is when you build that relationship with the person, the communication, I mean, they you know what I mean? The communication with that person is going to be above board. They're going to know that they have to answer to you down the road. So I believe honesty comes with the relationships, full honesty.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a difference between full honesty, I think, and, hey, I told him the right thing.
Yeah. And it made me think of this. It's like, and I think there's a connection here with what you're going, is like a little vulnerability moment. Like we did a small group study with our church, and it was more of a counseling and parenting. And one of the big takeaways was through this and through the parenting experiences, parenting is not avoiding challenges. Parenting is staying connected with your child through the challenges. And so I think that's part of what you're saying here is like, you have had, and you will continue to have challenges. We were just talking about burst pipes. You had burst pipes this week. What's next week bringing?
Yeah.
Something.
Just something different.
But the relationships you've built and the trust you've built is like, again, not that bad things aren't going to happen. It's that you've built a relationship, so you're going to be able to maintain that relationship through the burst pipes, through the delays, through the estimates, the contingencies that happen, and that you did, the planned and unplanned, the foreseen and the unforeseen, and that you're going to be able to maintain it with those relationships in that team versus the people that ghost you, the people that disappear, the people that don't want to confront and deal with the hard facts. But I mean, I guess part of that is dealing through the tough situations and having challenging discussions, talking through communication.
And how do you get through those things the best way? By having a solid relationship all the way throughout it, right? Yeah. That's the only way you can kind of get through those things and have someone be, I started it off with honesty, but that's all that really means. It's just someone being honest with you and telling you, yes, we can or can't do this, or yes, we should or shouldn't do this.
And people,
it only comes from the relationship.
People have an integrity in the sense of integrity being wholeness and being like, hey, we're going to set clear expectations. We're going to discuss those. If we miss a milestone or something, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're going to, if we mess up, we're going to say, I'm sorry. Here's how I'm going to fix it. Yeah. Here's how I'm going to fix it so that it doesn't happen again. And working through that is part of what team means.
That's exactly right. Who are the members of these teams?
Oh, yeah. We keep talking about teams. We hadn't even said.
Members?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the members.
Okay.
I think the first one needs to be your lender or your banker.
Okay.
Most of my clients are using a loan. Some of you guys are using cash, so you can maybe skip this if you're a total cash buyer out there. But your relationship,
congratulations, by the way.
Yeah. Your relationship with bankers and lenders, to me, I've spoke about this a dozen times on here, is to me the most important. And in the last few months I've been busy with some buying and rehab. But this summer and earlier in the year, when the rates were climbing and everyone's freaking out and no one's doing anything, I had the best time connecting with my banking partners during that. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is why I'm waiting. This is why I'm aggressive. I got real aggressive at the end of last year, right?
Yes.
Because we're not going to see these prices again. And you know what he didn't care? This is a great example. I didn't even know this was going to pop up. So because I communicated with him earlier in the year and I told him what I was waiting on, whenever it was time to have that, he couldn't have been more excited.
He was so happy for you.
He couldn't have been more excited. And he said, the time is now. And he actually increased the line of credit to help me get through it.
Congrats.
So see
that's
what
awesome.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
that's
right. He had heard from me during the year when that rates are climbing and no one's buying because we don't know what's happening and everyone's losing it and the banks are nervous and scared and we're not loaning any money and no one's buying it. The entire time, and I don't mean once a week, I mean once every month, 6 weeks. Hey, this is what I'm up to. This is the reason why I'm waiting. I'm typing an email out here. But this is what I'm doing and why. Oh, that's great, Dean. That's good, Dean. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it, Dean. And then sure enough, come September, when I began to see the pricing come to the point to where I wanted it to come to, I got so busy. I got more busy than I'd been all year long, probably more busy than I should have been. But what did my banker say? Hey, man, we got you.
We got you, man. Yeah.
So to me, that's, your banker, your lender, those relationships to me are the most important. I know you've got some banking relationships for years and years.
No. I mean, the way I think about it is, I've always thought in the kind of a bigger framework of like, with real estate investing is like deals, financing, and management. Like you need deals, you need money, and then you need to do something after that, whether it's fixing and flipping or managing or whatever you're doing, buying and holding. So, and I've always kind of looked at it as like, you mentioned it just then, it's like, most people don't buy with cash.
No.
And keep it with cash. I mean, they have to leverage it somehow. So it's like you could go out on Zillow and you could write a contract yourself and contact an agent. And like you could kind of do the deal part on your own. It's a little harder, but you could do that. And you could flip it, self-manage it, do some things on your own. But it's hard to fund a deal on your own.
Oh, yeah.
So to your point, it's like, I've always thought that I mean, you got to have money. You can have deals all day long. You can find the money. People have always said, if you find a good deal, you can go find the money.
Yeah, usually.
If you don't have the money. But what we're saying here is when you find that money, we're talking about your team. Like, who's that team member that's going to have the money?
That's right.
So go find a good deal and you'll have the money. But having a lender, whether it's a banker or if you're starting out, man, if you have a private lender who wants to see you succeed for whatever reason, maybe that's a great alternative because you can get it cheaper terms, more favorable terms. Or if you're a more experienced investor and you have a track record and you can go to somebody who just happens to like you.
Yeah.
And they can be your private lender. You've had that situation. I've had that situation.
Both.
Yes.
They just flat out like me and what I'm doing. And so let's jump on board. That's what I mean by the relationships. That's kind of what I'm trying to like make sure that I get the point across here that you'd be amazed at what you can get done with relationships. My first line of credit was because a friend knew a banker.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Now that's not everyone, but my first line of credit that I got, I could have shown some stuff and probably would have gotten it anyway. But the guy was super easy and light. Oh, you're in the business, you know him, and let's go. And of course, I had to prove myself. It was very small. I mean, I'm talking like, I think it was 80 grand, 100 grand line of credit, very small. I had to prove myself after that, but they kicked that door open for me a little bit, and I got in there and kept proving myself. So and
the biggest deal you've ever done,
was from
a relationship.
Yeah,
the best deal I've ever done was from a relationship.
Yeah,
a guy I jogged with knew somebody, and it happened. Guy you bumped into knew whatever. I think of helping a family member.
Yeah.
Right now, do some investing stuff.
Yeah.
And that family member is piggybacking off of relationships I've built, which is, hey, man, that's great.
You should.
So
he's doing the smart thing.
Yeah. He and I have a relationship.
Yeah.
And then I've got relationships. Now he's got those relationships. So
that's
it's like
exactly right.
And part of it is with the lender. We'd be remiss not to mention CoreLend, who's a show sponsor, because they're always looking to build relationships with investors.
They host events quarterly.
Yeah. I think they got something coming up soon.
Yeah.
But they're a hard money lender. They're somebody who can help you to another resource.
Yeah.
You need them? Great. I talked to them 2 weeks ago about a situation kind of with this family member I'm helping about a way. I told you about that, how they're going to be able to fund some stuff.
Yeah.
And not only are they going to fund it, but because of the way their team is set up, their team becomes part of the inspection process for this investor's team.
Yes.
So it's
all about those relationships. So lenders and bankers, you see why those are important.
Yes.
The next one is always really important. It's your agent, your property source.
Yeah, man,
where are you going to get these houses? I've said this before jokingly. There are other agents in Memphis that sell investment deals. Yes. Shame on you for using them and not me, but at least interview and talk.
Yeah.
And make sure that my first note on here was that your agent needs to be in the business.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, please don't hire a real estate agent that sells residential property to do this or commercial property to do this. Hire a agent to be your representative that's in the business, owns rentals. I don't mean 4 or 5 either. I mean owns a rental portfolio. They can really tell you what's happening and what isn't. Mm-hmm. An agent that doesn't, they can get you in some decent areas, but when it comes down to you having 2 and 3 and 4, now we're building a portfolio.
They can get you a great deal on the wrong property.
On the wrong,
they can get you a great deal on the wrong property.
They can get you a great deal on the wrong property.
And that's not what you need. You need experience. And I would encourage you, if you're interested in this, we did a great show, top 5 questions to ask your real estate agent a couple weeks ago. Yeah. It's out there. Awesome show. All the questions to ask to find that right agent
to make
for you.
sure that you're doing the right thing and they're the right person for you. That's a great source. That podcast, I think it was a month ago, but go back and figure out their property management. This is another person to build your team with. You know, the most important, I've been saying this about every one of these, but building your property management team is huge. We just did the top 5 things to ask your property manager.
Right. We did that podcast as well.
We did that one. So, you know, what are your fees? Where do you focus? What area of town are you the strongest in or the weakest in or whatever it may be that you want to ask them? I want to let you touch on this too, but property management to me has been, you know, a key. Our property management team here has been key to me growing and getting and scaling, and getting up to where I want to be. And I couldn't have done it without them. I couldn't have collected rent, especially on the first 10 or 15 or whatever. Like you go ride around and collect rent. No, you need that partner right on the front end.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said all those things well. I go back, deals, financing management. We talked about, hey, you got to have a lender, you know, for the financing. We talked about the agent right there. And it's like, you got to have deals. The agent's going to bring you deals. Yep. You got to have the financing. And now it's like, okay, now you've got that property. If it's buy and holds, you need management.
Yes.
So you're going to self-manage. Okay. You're limited.
Best of luck.
Best of luck. If you're going to use a property manager, that's great. You mentioned, we did an awesome episode, top 5 questions to ask a property manager.
Yep.
And partner with that property manager because they are going to do what we talked about to begin with. You're going to leverage yourself through that property manager. And that property management company is doing the same thing. They've got field techs out in the field. They've got leasing agents. They've got property managers. They've got accountants. They've got all kinds of people doing all types of activities, not to mention whether they have in-house or subcontract to vendors, outsource of contractors to do the work and maintenance. So they've got all kinds of tentacles to take care of the property.
And everything that you need and can't do on a daily basis.
That they do all day, every day for pay.
Yes.
So they want to add value.
That's right.
And do a great job with that. So yeah, one thing that we kind of neglected, I think, or a little point I forgot to mention was here, and we've kind of referenced this a time or two, but when you have a good lender and you have a good agent and when you have a good property manager or a contractor, not only are they going to do good with their specific role, but then they're also going to be able to help you in kind of some ancillary parts where in the sense of like, hey, it might be that a property manager literally had this happen yesterday. Property manager that I know used here at Property Management and said, hey, somebody you know who we manage for I was talking to them and they wanted to know if you wanted to buy their house. And I was like, that is awesome. We talked about it before. Like some of the best deals we've ever got were from relationships.
100%.
Lenders gotten relationships with lenders have brought houses. Agents obviously bring houses. Contractors, they might be working on another project and say, hey, this investor, he kind of wants to sell. Are you interested in buying it? So building those relationships a lot comes more than just the service they provide.
That's right. Next on building your team, we're talking about title companies. This is huge.
Yes.
You have to be recorded the right way. We don't have to spend a ton of time on this one, but title companies, there are several in town that will be a little more loosey-goosey on their criteria of approving.
I know too. It's not.
Search.
It's not local title, and it's not Will Griffin at Griffin Cliff Everton.
The two people that is not is Will Griffin and April McDowell at Local Title.
Yeah.
I'm just here to tell you, I've been involved on the agent. This was several years ago, but I've been involved on the agent side of it, where one of my buyer clients had a large 6-figure sum of money stolen through the wire or through the email communication from a title company because it wasn't secure enough, and they were watching the communication, and this person lost a lot of money. So you need to make sure that you are with a title company that has all the proper securities with emails, procedures when it comes to wiring. They're used to dealing with investment closings. These are two different things. Your residential closing out in your neighborhood and an investment closing are two separate things. Not to mention, if we're dealing with wholesalers and off-market resources, you've got to have the right title company that knows how to properly close those deals. There are steps in place that you've got to do to make sure that's done right. Get your proper title insurance on there. You need to close with an investor-friendly title company. Local Title, Will Griffin with Griffin, Cliff, Everton, and Mashmeyer are two people that we've closed with. I've closed all my deals with either one of those two. So every deal I've closed, has been with either one of them.
Yeah.
So
I've used
title
them
companies are
hundreds
huge.
of times,
Yeah.
literally.
Last on our list today, as we're talking about building your team, is your GC. We'll spend a few minutes on this and we'll wrap it up. But we've done other podcasts called the Contractor Triangle.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So because we're building your team and we've done a bunch of podcasts off of these. We're sourcing
Reference
several,
other. Yeah, there's a great
others
podcast.
that we've used. But the triangle, contractor triangle, there's 3 points to a triangle. And with a contractor triangle, it's speed and quality and price.
Yes.
And you can't have all three. Doesn't exist. We've tried, we've looked, it isn't there. We've searched, we've clawed, it's just not there.
Yeah.
Speed, price, and quality. You can have 2 of those 3. With Triumph Construction, another show sponsor, we chose the 2 that you get with them are speed and quality. They are not the cheapest contractor that I can find. And I used to look for that and had many mistakes on it. I've gotten to where we've developed a relationship with Triumph, and I am satisfied with those 2. The speed and the quality of what they deliver for us has been great. Now, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say on
there's
that.
There's a million points to this because this is
and
where
I
I
was
see
gonna say,
people sink.
Right, and I was going to
sink.
say that the way I like to look at it is that with that service triangle, you want the highest quality in the fastest time at the best price.
Right.
Not the highest or the lowest. I want the best.
Yeah.
Because I really want the best quality, highest quality in the fastest time at the best price for me.
Yep.
So you don't want that low price, man.
No, you don't.
We've been there, done that, and with that comes with low quality, and you don't want the slow time because it takes
It takes forever.
Money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're not equipped to handle you. So that's basically what it boils down to. But you're right, general contractor. I will tell you, I have seen investors sink and lose their business over bad contractors. They just have because, and I don't mean immediately. I mean, if you stick with a bad contractor through a bunch of houses, and I'm here to tell you this is why we're so vulnerable in this show. I've done it.
Yeah, sure.
I've been there. I've had a
teaching-
GC early on do 4 or 5 deals for me and work them. And he fell apart at number 4 and number 5, and I just had to let him go. But I look back on there and the quality was not where I needed to be. I've had to do bigger rehabs on those when they turn. It's just been a nightmare.
Yes.
I mean, it's been almost 3 years now that we've hooked up with Triumph Construction, and it's a trusted thing. So, anything else to add on GCs? I mean, I think we could go through 100 stories.
No, I think just to your point, it's like we've done it. So it's like good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment.
That's
so
right.
we've been there. That's how we got to where we are. And with the contractors, I think using a licensed contractor, somebody who's been in business, has a track record, somebody with multiple referrals, people people that you can refer. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to. The horror stories you hear are not licensed contractors who've been in business for a long time who everybody refers to.
No.
It's, hey, I found somebody who could do it cheap and quick, and they don't have a website. I couldn't find anything about them.
Can you send me pictures of your past 3 jobs you've done? Just ask that and see where you go from there.
That's right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, build your team was great. I think it's an important topic, and we've done a subset of podcasts for almost each one of these.
Which is
so
awesome.
if you want to take this one and then go start exploring through the podcast channel on YouTube, I would encourage you to do that. We leave them all on there. So feel free to go check them out. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you next week for another Investor's Guide to Memphis Real Estate. Thanks.
Love it.